Her father married a woman with 2 daughters who were cruel and selfish. When her father also passed away, Cinderella's stepmother made her do all the household chores, while her stepsisters wore fancy dresses and went to grand parties. Despite her hardships, Cinderella remained kind and hopeful. Every morning she would wake up early, sweep the floors, cook breakfast, and tend to the animals in the garden. The little birds and mice adored her and often tried to cheer her up with their playful antics. They would bring her small gifts, like shiny buttons or pretty feathers, which she kept in a tiny wooden box under her bed. One day, an invitation arrived from the royal palace. The king was hosting a grand ball for his son, Prince Henry, to find a bride. The entire kingdom buzzed with excitement, and Cinderella's stepsisters were no exception. They spent days choosing the finest fabrics for their gowns and arguing over who would marry the prince. Cinderella's heart fluttered with excitement. "Oh, how I wish I could go," she sighed, but her stepmother sneered. "You? At the royal ball? Impossible. You have nothing to wear." With that, she and her daughters laughed cruelly and left Cinderella behind, weeping in the kitchen. Just then, a soft light filled the room. "Don't cry, my dear," said a gentle voice. It was her fairy godmother. She waved her sparkling wand, and Cinderella's rags turned into a shimmering blue gown. On her feet appeared the most beautiful glass slippers. A pumpkin transformed into a golden carriage, and mice into majestic horses. "But remember," said the fairy godmother, "this magic will only last until midnight. After that, everything will return to normal." Cinderella arrived at the palace, and everyone gasped at her beauty. Prince Henry couldn't take his eyes off her and asked her to dance. They twirled and laughed, feeling like they had known each other forever. They spoke about their dreams, their favorite places in the kingdom, and how they both longed for true happiness. As the night continued, Cinderella felt as if she were in a dream. She had never been so happy. The music played, the chandeliers sparkled, and the prince never left her side. But just as she was about to tell him her name, the clock struck 12. "Oh no!" Cinderella gasped and ran down the palace steps. One glass slipper slipped off, but she had no time to pick it up. She hurried back home just as the magic faded away, leaving her once again in her tattered dress. The next day, the prince searched for the owner of the glass slipper. He traveled across the kingdom, stopping at every house. When he arrived at Cinderella's home, her stepsisters tried to force their feet into the shoe, but it didn't fit. Then, Cinderella shyly stepped forward. The moment she slipped her foot into the glass slipper, it fit perfectly. Prince Henry smiled. "I found you," he said joyfully. But just as he reached for Cinderella's hand, her stepmother lunged forward. "This cannot be. She is just a servant girl," she shrieked. But the prince saw the kindness in Cinderella's eyes and ignored the protests. "Kindness and a pure heart are worth more than riches," he declared, "and Cinderella has both." Overjoyed, Cinderella and the prince were soon married in a beautiful ceremony. Her kindness and goodness were finally rewarded, and they lived happily ever after. The kingdom rejoiced, and even the little birds and mice celebrated their beloved Cinderella's happiness. As time passed, Cinderella became not just a beloved princess, but a wise and kind queen. She helped those in need, ensured no one in the kingdom was treated unfairly, and even forgave her stepmother and stepsisters, offering them a chance to change. Though they struggled with their jealousy at first, they eventually learned from Cinderella's kindness and sought to better themselves. And so, Cinderella's magical adventure